Definitely. So what we have done is we have already run past tweet. People have responded to that, asking their questions. So
Yeah.
initially,
Uh,
live, we give two updates about the project to the people, and then we can move on to the AMA or answering questions that the people have about the project.
Perfect. My laptop's just gone back. All right. Well, I'm not just going to waffle about. Let me find the. Where is it? Let me find the document. Oh, there we go. Chris's AMA. Yeah. So as Alexander said, so the point of what's happened, I think there's obviously there's a lot happened. So I only joined right like 2.5 months ago after about a 2 month kind of interview and checking fit process. My background is I've worked in alternative economic structures for 5 years globally with some of the oldest organizations like Sardex and the Swiss, what's it called, the Swiss Bourse thingy. I've been a developer producing products since 1995. So since I was 15, I've been working. I've been coding since I was 7. I've kind of stayed up. I built a blockchain, like a layer 1, in 2016. Back in the day, we actually built something, and we ICO for 20 million. And then there were these two guys in Madrid, like 19, 20-year-old university students. All they did was write a white paper, and they got the same amount of money as us, right? They didn't build anything. They never did anything. So I joined here. My whole thing, I before I came here, I was in South America, in El Salvador, working with Bukele, President Nayib Bukele's office, and using kind of blockchain to create transparency tools, right, for national and local government, which is super important. There's many reasons why that applies in South America, which I'm not going to go into now, but really, really lovely, interesting place. Before that, I was working in Colombia doing chain of custody, so supply chain stuff for cocoa mainly. So in Colombia, it's a really big deal, like the attempt to move farmers onto the production of cocoa for chocolate is a sort of a big social phenomenon, and it's a complicated political issue, and it's quite difficult to do. So you have companies like Mars. There's a lot of money behind this process, trying to get this kind of bean to bar, right? This first mile production onto the blockchain, and then to track kind of right cocoa drying and export and global distribution. So that was a couple of years ago. I was doing that. Before that, I was in Kenya working on community economic structures, blah, 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 blah. So I've been kind of banging around this space really since 2016, I suppose, which is the kind of blend of economics and blockchain. So I've come into here. What we have, as I know you all know, is a sort of innovative. There's a couple of innovations that take, and I know you know this, but we'll just get up to zero. So there's a couple, because I know it's difficult to have people tell you that stuff is almost ready, right, for ages. I know what it feels like. I've traded money. I've invested in structures. I invested in XYO, right, in like 2017, and I mean they XYO still haven't actually produced a product. They go around. They're still there. They have software platform. So I know what that feels like, and they're decent people. Netcoin will do all right. So what we're doing obviously is different to that. We are talking about distributing, right, like commodity assets right? And that is tracked on the chain, or that's not quite true. So we're talking about creating a stable tokenomics model, right? Is which is supported by various streams, right, of energy, of various different types of money flow. And the whole design of that coin is to stabilize the price of the reward token, right, that comes off of the project, each individual project, right? The whole design is about stable growth of the reward token value, right? So, you know, that's where we are. I don't know. I'm more used to sort of talking with people. Let me
Yes.
see.
Thank
Yeah, go
you
on.
for background, Christopher. I can really say that you are a seasoned developer. You've been developing since you were 7.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure that Chrysalis system is in good hands if you have been developing what I would say like 25, 30 years now.
Yeah, 30, yes. Like it actually professionally, what is it, 20? My bro, I'm so tired, honestly. I'm working like 18 hours a day. The 2000 and 1995, so I started my first professional job building bespoke software platform. So that's 30 years, 29 years.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really
Since before the internet, I was there when they invented the web. Do you know what I mean? I was like, wow, that was just afterwards. But we produced some of the first projects on the web.
that's nice. So you're seeing the web as well as the Web3. You already entered the Web3 era, and I would be saying an OG in the space for Web3 at least.
Yeah, exactly. So I've really been at the forefront of the development of technologies of Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. You know, I built a layer 1 in Silicon Valley, and I was the second full-time coder on the project. One of the not a founder of the idea, but the first sort of employee they took on as a developer in 2016, and then yeah, I've been doing loads of bits and pieces. I work with Cello a bit. I like Cello, and then yeah, coming out here, it's been good. Great. I mean, great product. The reason, just to put that into context, the reason that I'm here is because this is a great product, right? It is a great product. I'm like, right, let's go, right? Which is why I flew here from South America.
Definitely. Even myself, I think Kuromate has joined recently Chrysalis, and we are pretty excited about the project because there are very few projects who do actual RWAs that you can see, that you can earn, and they've been doing it for quite some time now.
Yeah,
It's really
exactly.
amazing people doing real work on the ground.
It's solid. It's very solid. It's very solid stuff. I mean, all right. Well, look. I'm just going to go through this crisis update on Chrysalis roadmap timelines. So there's a list right here, people, of 19 things, right, which have been collected off of by Cora, mate. Thank you very much, Nissan. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to come to visit you soon. Naya's here in Dubai. I'm probably not going to have time to see her, but update on Chrysalis roadmap timelines, royalties. Chrysalis timeline. There are 3 interesting facts. I know you haven't spoken to us for a long time. That isn't. I'm very communicative. You can message me anytime you like. Right, I don't mind. I've always got my notifications on. I'm happy to speak to people. Well, whenever they want, apart from the fact that I'm working all the time. But so the Chrysalis roadmap going forwards is. So it's being driven very hard, right, to be done by the end of this month, right, which is in 3 weeks, less a couple of days. This will probably happen. It might be a day or 2 over the line because that is 3 weeks. But we have a great set of tools. So what I had right. So by the end of the month, basically, more as matters, and that will be new smart contracts, the same basic. Fundamentally, it's going to have the same tokenomics, right? The tokenomics are very good. I literally, and I want you to hear this, right? I spent 2.5 hours. So it's been a lot for me to do since I got here. I spent 2.5 hours going through the tokenomics with Shad yesterday, right? Not because we've never spoken about it before, but because when it gets to the point where I have to implement and I've already read the existing smart contracts, right? Like I know what it does, and I've chatted about it for a long time, for blah, blah, blah. But in terms of moving forwards and putting my name into the mix and getting the kind of money flow and the energy flow, which we're driving, right, for the release of Chrysalis, I'm like, right. So there's I don't know how to put this. So what happened to Debtbox, there are a couple of things that happened to it. In terms of the tokenomics, it's not really the tokenomics model that was at fault, right, which caused the issues with Debtbox. It's not. It was a very there's a very specific part of the tokenomics where massive amounts of liquidity were injected into the system, which they shouldn't have been there, right? Whatever. So this we can control, which is great. So we're setting up the so we're going to roll out the contracts. End of 3 weeks or so, we'll be done. What else do we need to know? Let's have a look. And this is me. So we've built, so as part of what I've been doing for EEX, right, which is another product set of contracts, which obviously goes hand in hand, like carbon credits and industry go hand in hand in the modern financial system, right? So access to whatever access to borrowing money from banks is going to start to become dependent on kind of carbon neutrality of companies. So EEX goes hand in hand with this. And so what I've been doing, so I said there were 3 things. The first thing is it'll be done by the end of the month, right? More or less. And I'll keep you updated. I mean, I'm going to be working on it 14, 18 hours a day for the next 3 weeks. So I'll keep the community updated. It's no problem for me. So there are 2 things that then happened, right? One, we stopped the Debtbox ecosystem, right? We stopped it. We didn't feel that we had a choice. We just stopped it. So it should really theoretically still be running, right, now, but it isn't, which has got nothing to do with our development timeline. So then we spent a month developing EEX, right? And that's what we have now. Now, the way that I build software, what we have is now our own pretty powerful just DApp platform, which applies equally to EEX as it applies to Chrysalis. So I can basically take the EEX DApp and just reskin it, put a couple of extra pages in it, blah, blah, blah. But all of the infrastructure, the backing infrastructure will basically be the same, right? Which is great. Yeah. And the other thing goes, again, with the smart contracts. So we now have a smart contract an in-house smart contract deployment tooling, which keeps like audited records of everything that we do, which again is not what was happening before. Obviously there are records, but it's not what was happening before. So we have a much more dynamic, much more flexible platform to build what we're building off of. So, do you know what I mean? It'll be good. You know, I build really, really shiny tech, and yeah, I'm good at. What's it say? Roadmap, timeline. So the roadmap is like, yeah. I mean, I'll let you know as it goes. We're moving at such a speed. It'll basically be smart contract. It's all going to happen at the same time. Smart contracts, UI 2 weeks, testing 1 week, sort of done. What to say? Royalties. So, in terms of royalties, there's a combination of 2 different things, right? One is the actual impact that the TRO and the SEC had on the genuine production capacity of the different ground level projects, and that data will be coming out, right? Like I have been for myself within the organization asking for this stuff, because I'm product centric. I'm not a tech centric CTO. I'm a product and community centric CTO who happens to have 30 years of development experience, right? Or I started off in development and I still do it. But for me, the point is the product and the community engagement. That's why I build tech, right? I don't build really shiny tech because I think it's cool. I build shiny tech so that it is flexible enough to deal with the real world needs of business and of the customer community, right? That's what gets me off. So literally, I'll have to get back to you on that. But there are two sides to it. One is what actually is going to be the output based on the ground real world projects and that the data from that, and then the other side is how will we sort of bootstrap the reward token structures back into the issue that we have, and people should try and understand this, right? This is absolutely necessity. The whole point of the design of this token structure, and this is why I like it, right? This is why I'm here. The point is the reward tokens are not supposed to leap in value. They're not supposed to jump in value upwards or downwards very quickly. They're not supposed to. What we're building and the whole token structure is designed is to create a stable growth in the value, right? So when we come back to kickstart this whole thing again, we're going to have to look to find a way to, and I think we've got options, right? But we're going to have to look to find a way to start the value of each separate reward token growing growing at a trajectory which is sustainable, right? And we'll be working on that. In terms of, yeah, as Alexander said, in terms of has anything been lost? Nothing has been lost. Right, every piece of data, all of it, we still have, and once the new smart contracts are up, we will then be working to integrate, right, just all the information onto the new platform, which will be clear what's happening. It'll be clear who's controlling it, and the provenance of all the contracts will be very open. The contracts are actually going to be much simpler than they were before, whilst encoding the same amount of information, whilst encoding the same behavior. Okay, when will you go on, Nishant, sorry.
Sure. So to sum it up, the royalties will of course start when the system starts and the groundwork starts again. But the timeline would be, you would say, by the end of this month, you would have a good update for the community.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. So the contracts will go out. In terms of driving rewards, again, let's be clear. When we launch the new platform, right? It's a complex situation, and that's not to put it off. It's like you can help us work out how to do it. What we need to do is basically take a snapshot of the entire state. That's easy, right? No problem. We take a snapshot of all the NFTs and all the rewards and everything from about 6 weeks ago, the numbers published, whatever that is, right? Then we have to, right, we need to put liquidity into that system so that it starts functioning, but we need to control what happens reasonably well so that, one, the system can't be shut down for liquidity, right? We're like in the first 2 or 3 months of coming back up, we're going to be controlling, right? Because this project it's a long-term project. It already has been, right? So we're going to be controlling the ability to just rip liquidity out of the system, which is obviously a problem. So, I mean, not forever because the system's open, But to get this thing just leveled out and operating on a reasonable trajectory, that's what we're going to do. That's the plan anyway. It's a complicated situation. It's like, my lord, right? Yeah, yeah. It's like, okay, and that
For 3 years, it's a complicated situation. But again, if we have a snapshot, then everybody's assets are safe.
yes, all of the data is there. We didn't really look. I mean, yeah, we have there's a big liquidity wallet which everybody knows about. That's been published, right, where we've stashed the liquidity, right, in whilst we have to rebuild the contract. So that's all perfectly visible. Yeah, everything's there. You can't lose anything. It's the blockchain, and we will be there with you, making sure that everybody feels happy. Do you know what I mean? Like there's, as I said, it's been a complicated situation, but but the whole point is for the community to enjoy and be excited about what we're doing. Otherwise, I haven't made any.
I'm just gonna interrupt you here for a second. So all the committee members who have any more questions to ask, there's a little box on the right side where you can comment down your questions, because we have limited number of speakers that we can have. Also, if you like any of the answers, you can. There's a little heart icon which you can put in. Sorry, Christopher. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're all right, Nishan. You interrupt me whenever you like. I'm not used to talking to people without being able to see their faces. So, let's see, what do we get? Can we know what the next project is? So,
just to comment on that, really, guys. So a lot of you, there are a few projects that are in the pipeline, guys. We're looking really to cement and prop up the legacy projects that have already been on the old platform, which is happening. And as you can respect from our end, it's a lot of work being done by Chris and the technology team to make sure that we're back up and running as soon as possible. What I can talk about is obviously Earth Exchange. Most of you should know we launched that. That has been going phenomenally well. We are at the moment in quite deep discussions with several other countries. Kenya, the Amazon has been another piece of land that's been, under right now review to add carbon credits, and also Indonesia, which was pretty big press in Indonesia for those of you that speak Indonesian or understand. There was quite a lot of press on that, and there's also going to be quite a lot going further in terms of landowners bringing their projects to the Earth Exchange. So on that extent, it's been very, very successful, and if anything, we've been slightly overwhelmed with how that has been received by the countries that we work with and landowners that we've worked with. The other side of that, in terms of pushing this project forward, we are already got endorsement from the United Nations. I don't know if you guys have seen that letter. It will be coming. We are working on a brand new website, which is being tested right now for Earth Exchange. It's a lot more content than our current one. There's going to be a lot more information on there for you guys to keep updated with what's going on with Earth Exchange. But we did get a letter of endorsement. Now, the reason that is important, is under the AACID, which is the Arab African Council for basically development and reconstruction of the UN. They have 52 countries that are under that umbrella, and having driven quite a lot of the climate change aspects, a lot of these countries are very, very deep in commodities, oil and gas. There's a lot of offset happening in these areas, so there's a lot of pressure from not just the European Union and the United Nations. There's a lot of pressure from really most institutions that are in any way certainly involved in some of the top three, which I'd say aviation, steel, oil and gas, are under huge amount of pressure to import into the European Union. There are sanctions. Switzerland, not so long ago, just made a regulatory wrap around all of the public listed companies. They need to be carbon neutral. We're expecting to see the same across pretty much most of the major markets in the European Union, also in the US. You want to trade on the US stock exchange, NASDAQ, you're gonna have to be compliant with carbon neutrality regulation. So all that does, guys, is from our end create a number one, a moving price for carbon credits in general. If you read Bloomberg Post, anything like that, from even the Wall Street Journal, IMF have come out with statements. Carbon as a credit is touted as the new sort of economy of finance. And for us, in what we've done at Earth Exchange, which is, in my humble opinion, and I think the UN obviously agree, is we've created one of the world's most integral carbon credits. We're also looking at putting an insurance wrapper on it, which is extremely exciting. That will turn that into a tradable commodity, everyone. So carbon credits aren't just there to offset your emissions. They become a credit enhancing asset on your balance sheet, which again is going to open up a lot of doors for us with the project in terms of the liquidity coming into it, and also the drivers, again, not just from us, but from these regulatory powers that are driving the price of carbon
how do you
upwards.
think that kind of the EEX and its ecosystem, suppliers and all of that is going to sort of interact over the medium term with Chrysalis?
Is that a question to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you guys know, the sort of backbone of Chrysalis, moving on from this bridge from the legacy projects, underlying is our own layer one blockchain, which again can't give away too much right now. There's a lot in the works that we are still testing, but Earth Exchange is not going to be a project on the Chrysalis platform. The reason for that is it's not, although being a real world action, the Chrysalis platform is sticking to the sort of real world asset commodity projects. However, that said, and it also has its own token, which is the carbon credit backed asset. So it's not something that will utilize Chrysalis as a utility. It has its own utility. The reason, guys, that I think some of you, if you caught, the reason that we developed Earth Exchange was to do with our partnership with Promax over here in the UAE, which certainly coincides with a lot of the work we're doing on the ground, which is in quite high carbon offset, carbon footprint with oil and gas and all the rest of the stuff that we're doing. So for us, it was a very nice transition, a very nice sort of feather in the hat to promote saving Mother Earth, which I think all of us are keen on doing, for not just for us, but our Chidleys and Chidley's children and all that sort of stuff. So it kind of worked very well. It worked very well for our partners, Promax. But no, Chris, the answer to that is it has its own utility. It has its own token, its own tokenomics. Essentially, guys, it's a stable currency in terms of the fact that it is backed by grams of carbon. And it will always be backed by grams of carbon. It's not a fluctuating price. And as a lot of you know, if you've bought an NFT and stake it, you are earning carbon credits every second. So you're earning grams of carbon every second for those of you that have staked it. So yeah, it will be a standalone. We do have an intention, guys, to certainly utilize the layer one blockchain that we're building, and be integrating that in the long term into the Earth Exchange platform. Yes.
Yeah, and I think I should be relatively clear that in terms of industry, right, they're operating in spaces which support and interact with each other, which can only be a good thing. As to, I guess, for some people, kind of Promax may not know much about it. I'm not going to say much about it, only that I'm in Abu Dhabi. I've met some of the people that we're working with, and it's one of the most enjoyable, right, extraordinarily professional, very, very long viewed, they're about growth for all people, as you can sort of see if you know anything about the UAE, and it's just a great pleasure to be here. It really is. I got something from Chester. When can we stake our EX NFTs that were minted months ago? So I think you're talking about the NFTs that were minted through iShang. Yeah. So I will have a discussion with them, because what's happening is we're migrating the EEX stuff, and the iShang. I will have a discussion. I'm not going to say anything else, but I will have a discussion with Shad about the iShang NFTs, and I will let you know.
So yeah, there, again, guys, obviously, just again, guys, so obviously, look, let's keep no hold bars. It was a bit of a, unfortunately, using their tech, there were a few hiccups in the technology from iShang. So, guys, I mean, that being said, it's pretty much the reason why we chose to develop our own technology. There was not any initial idea, by the way, to develop our entire exchange in-house. We were looking to utilize third-party regulatory exchanges. So in the meantime, guys, we've actually got regulation here in the UAE. We went through all the rigmarole of ensuring that we are backed by the right regulatory compliance, and we've built, and Chris has been a major part of that, we have built our entire technology in-house. Anything that we need to do, change, is now controlled in-house. I'm glad we took the time to do that. So all those iShang's NFTs, they will be converted into you'll convert it on a one-to-one. Again, everything's on the blockchain. We've got the list of everybody. We will actually do it all for you. So what will happen, as opposed to you having to do anything, we will literally airdrop you in your wallets it's on Polygon, it's the same network. We'll literally airdrop you your NFTs. So that's what will happen, and that's planned very shortly. The airdrop functionality, Chris has also been building pretty heavily as well over the last week.
I've tested
so
it.
we're very close.
This afternoon, I was going to run it now, but I went to sleep instead because I was too tired to do it.
Yeah, so that is underway, and obviously through Quorum 8 and our community, we'll be bleeding this out over the next this month. A lot of you, if not sooner, within the next week or two, will be announcing airdrops for all of the original iShang NFTs. We'll be airdropping the new ones into your account. You're able to stake them and start generating rewards, and obviously the rewards will start. For those of you, depending on which NFT you've bought, they harvest rewards quicker or take longer. If it was an activist at $25 over 365 days, you'll accumulate 75 metric tons, and then so on and so on. If you bought an admiral, that will take only half a year. So yeah, those will be honored, and you'll be airdropped your EEX. So you're not going to have to convert anything like that. We will just airdrop you the new. We're actually not, guys, and I did want to explain this to you, because you'll see some of this terminology, which I probably should, because I keep saying an NFT. It is an NFT. We've sort of taken a step further, and you will see this terminology coming out in our white papers, on our website. What we're calling this is a digital ownership token, and we weren't the first to coin it. It was coined not so long ago in the real estate industry. The key difference between a digital ownership token and a simple NFT, number one, is an NFT. Most people inherently think about images, art, things like that. Because we've been using NFT technology for, the most part over a year and a half, it's not an image. What we're doing with the digital ownership token, and hence why it's named that, all inside the metadata of the inside the token itself holds all of the title transfer, all of the hash from when it was sent to you, so it's proof that you own that, provenance that you own it. 3, in terms of EEX, the actual carbon offsets. So we have carbon rights agreements, which is how we've taken EEX to market with these countries, for example, with the community of Mount Kenya. So those carbon rights agreement will be embedded into the metadata of that token. Yeah. And the reason we're doing that is purely for auditing, traceability. You'll be able to trace your NFT and the amount of carbon it generates all the way down the chain, supply chain, to actually where it came from and the carbon rights agreement with the Kenyan government of where that carbon credit is generated from. So I say NFT, it's a bit more of an advanced technology than a simple NFT, which is why we're calling it DOTS, D-O-T, Digital Ownership Token. So some of you will see that technology. That's what it means.
That's great. All right. So look, I don't, again, the issue is because I can't see people's faces and I don't really know. I've spent a bit of time in the community, but I don't really know. So I don't know if there's people out there being like, this sounds great. I love the EEX stuff, but that's not what I hear about. Obviously, again, there's a point I'm trying to make is that the whole, like in terms of the business that we're running, right, this stuff lives at the same scale. EEX is at United Nations scale. It is, our organization is now linked, right, in the UEA. We're operating, and everything we do is under literal scrutiny, right? And that is going to allow us access to markets for the whole range of products, including the types of products that Chrysalis. Oh no, my phone's got 4% battery. Hang on, the types of products, right, that Chrysalis, that is going to represent the growth of the Chrysalis, right, ecosystem, blah blah blah. Does that make sense? And the reason that we're talking about it is because we had to do that for various reasons last month, right? And that Chrysalis wasn't supposed to be. Depbots wasn't meant to be paused last month. Right, I plugged my phone in. Okay, good. So I'm going to thank you, Alexander. Right, so this stuff is really good. It's difficult to get across the excitement, but it's really, really good, solid, massive stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's really good. So, any silver, copper, other metal projects in discussion? Not specifically. I've got some metal projects that I want. What we will be doing is opening up this process a bit of suggestions and analysis of where the whole Chrysalis project can go, right? Once we get, this is what I mean about proper infrastructure, like deployment, contract management infrastructure. So the types of platforms that I build and what I've kind of brought here with a bit of friction, I'll let you know, is like, no, we have to have a platform which is flexible to the needs of the business decisions and of the community, right? So what we will be doing over the next couple of months is bringing in a sort of discussion space where we can look at what global regulations are relevant, what industry developments are relevant, what sort of institutional protocols, as Alexander said, right, from the UN, the IMF, the EBI, all of these spaces where and stuff that's going on in Africa, obviously Ghana, West Africa, throughout the whole of Africa, all over the world. Where will it be good for us to, right, point the lens of Chrysalis and start bringing in new products into the ecosystem? So that will become a conversation which will be partly driven by us, because obviously we have people out in the field all the time doing that job, and people call us, obviously, and partly driven by the community looking at the decisions that we're making and bringing in, if people have ideas or they have leads more strong than ideas, there will be a space to bring that up into the attention for us to discuss it, right? And I think that's important. To me, that's important, right? Any silver copper melt, right? Will users be able to swap Debtbox NFTs one-on-one for Chrysalis NFTs? Yes, absolutely. You won't have to do anything. So the project NFTs will be directly like migrated into the same wallets as they already are in the new Chrysalis ecosystem, right? So you'll have the same NFTs. I'm going to leave that one there because any further down that starts to get really complicated. Is Chris just a utility token or a coin? I'm not going to answer that because we were talking about redesigning how it works to make it. At the moment, the intermediary debt token has a slightly random effect on the projects, and the projects have a random effect on the debt token, and it's not a big effect, but we don't need it. So we're probably going to change that a bit. And I'm not going to say anything else other than we can make it a bit less weird. That's what I'm saying. It was only a little bit weird. We can make it less weird, but better. But basically the same. It is an intermediary utility tool. Right, I'll say that. It's not supposed to represent intrinsic value. The intrinsic value is in the reward tokens, right? Where will the new chain tokens be traded? So we're in long-term partnership with one organization. My understanding is that to begin with, the trading will be limited to that single one partner. And as I said, we need to keep tight control over the first 3 months to try and get a stability into the system, right? I'm up for that because this whole system design is about stability. That is the entire point of it, like growth, value growth, stability. So we need to, with the original design did that very well, right? And if you imagine you had this big influx of energy and excitement, and that we were able to leverage that into stability, right? If you've got people pushing for more, and you're controlling the levers, you can take that pushing for more and turn it into long-term stability. And so we need to do that again, but obviously the scenario is more complex than it was the first time. So we're going to make sure we've got the right levers to be able to do that. Explain more about the blockchain.
So I was just running through questions, Chris. Maybe have Nishant just moderate a little bit. We are moving, guys. We've consolidated most of our exchange listings into Gate.io. That has commenced, so we will be with a plan to tier up as a tier 2 exchange. We also are in discussions with several other tier 2 and tier 1 exchanges. So we'll keep you updated on that, but that is the plan. We've consolidated onto one tier 2 exchange and looking to get onto a tier 1 exchange. So that will take some time. Obviously, you guys, as you know, the history, so it put us on a back burner, but we are and do have plans to move as quickly as we can and willing onto a tier 1 exchange. So again, it's going to bring a lot more to the Chrysalis.
Right.
Again, guys, I think we would have limited time. Sorry to interrupt you, Christopher. We would have limited time. So I think we can give quick answers to some of the questions that people have, and then maybe explain a bit more if we get more time. Yes?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Have you got more questions? I'm just looking at the questions on the initial document and then the Twitter questions.
Just give you quick control.
Yeah, you go on, Nishant.
So basically, people want to know about the blockchain that we are currently developing and how truly decentralized it is and how it changes the RWA ecosystem.
So I'll probably be better to answer that, only just because of the work that's already gone in. So is it decentralized? Yes. I mean, it is a true peer-to-peer system in the true sense of the word. It doesn't essentially look at it as a blockchain, look at it as a chain of change, or chain of change, should I say. So yes, it is a truly distributed system. It's very, very different to what you have seen out there before in terms of its speed, and how it essentially works on a very grassroots architecture explanation. Every person, this runs on a mobile phone, so there's not huge amounts of processing computing power needed. So what we're able to do is create nodes extremely quickly, extremely fast. The more nodes that are on the basically enter into the network, the faster our network gets, the faster the chain gets. So it's a very different approach to current blockchains, and the benefits of obviously being able to host your own node on a smartphone really opens up a huge amount of potential for us, for participants, to increase the community and the network to participate as someone being part of the network. And yes, the distributed nature of it, it is truly peer-to-peer. So way more than, you know, even if you see now companies that are so-called decentralized running on AWS server, one could debate whether they're decentralized at all. But no, it is truly what I would call a decentralized peer-to-peer distributed architecture and system that speeds up the more people that enter the network. And it can be run from a simple mobile phone. So that will give you guys a little bit of inkling to what it's about. Without going into high-level technical details about geometry and how we've done this, which is a little bit techy and sciencey, unless, I would.
I don't know what it is, so I'm not doing it.
Benefits, which I think answers the question that was asked.
Definitely sounds good, and I think
keep your seats. Keep your seats. Keep your seatbelts on, because it is explosive, very, very innovative, and as it comes out, I think it's a game changer in terms of how we utilize blockchain as a transactional processing system.
that's good to hear, and I guess right now, as some people have asked, is Chrysalis the only validator? But I guess, of course, right now we are not gone live, but once we go live, anybody can become a validator with their mobile phone, and the more mobile phones become validators, we are more decent, right? Any
Exactly.
any standpoint on how Chrysalis blockchain or L1 blockchain helps the RWA ecosystem in a specific manner?
Say again, I didn't quite understand that question.
Is the blockchain giving any specific solutions to the RWA ecosystem?
Is it giving any solutions
to the RWA?
To the current RWA? I mean, there's two. Yeah, I mean that could be answered in a number of ways. One is it's way more secure. We don't use smart contracts, so I'll give you another, wee little nugget there. Although we simulate exactly the same effect as a smart contract, these are actually programmable tokens. So no, in that regard, it's way secure than what you'll find on any other blockchain system out there. Two, the speed of which the chain itself or the network itself runs and operates is way faster than anything you've seen before. And obviously the fact that participation is way more widespread just allows for companies that are the idea, guys, and I think this has been said a few times, what you have right now is a proof of concept. The reason that we've essentially built our own projects and put them into the system, when we were doing this 3 odd years ago, nobody was really aware of tokenizing their whatever, whether it's a gold mine, whether it's an oil field. This was something pretty new to everybody. So see our projects as a proof of concept, which we've done. What the new system will do is allow for any real world asset project out there do one of two things. One, tokenize the futures, which is basically what we are. Yeah, we're selling essentially a futures product. So what it will allow for people and projects to do, of which we've had so many approach us, it's just too much to bear, saying, look, how can we do this? How do we do this? So what Chrysalis will offer people and projects as a platform is, one, access and tokenify, if you want to call that a word, tokenize their future revenue streams, and also launch that project on the Chrysalis platform. Now, these, as you know, have been sort of split on a project by project basis, whether it's NatG, whether it's DLG, whether it's BGLD. Those themselves will essentially become the industry platform or the industry tokens for that community. And I'm talking about the global community of BGLD would be black people in the oil industry, people who have got gold mines who want to tokenize their future revenue streams, who maybe they've got lots of audit, it's in the ground, they need help to get it out. Those are the sorts of effects that I think we're going to see on the real world asset market in general. We're offering a very strong, solid token model, and also an ability for them to launch. See this as a launch pad, like you would launch a new product on Binance, or Hacken, or whatever other company out there that's built a launch pad. It's exactly what we're doing. So we're giving RWA projects the RWA launch pad platform for them to launch their and tokenize their projects.
Okay, that's nice.
Which just adds more and more royalties, guys, as the more projects that come on. As Chris stated before, this has always been a long-term value creation. This is not, let's get rich overnight. This is a long-term token model with real business backing it, that if you look at it down the line, as we start to roll out Chrysalis, which is why we're keen, and I'm sure everyone else is, to get this out and get it completed, more and more projects, as they start to come into the mix and launch using the Chrysalis platform, all of those royalties, if they're BGLD, if they're DLG, all of the royalties from all of these projects start flowing into the ecosystem. And this is really where it starts to get extremely exciting. Liquidity starts to increase very, 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 very quickly. We start to build our community of other projects out there that want to follow in our footsteps.
That's the next question for now, because the limited time. So are Chrysalis oil tokens security assets now? And if they are, then how the regulations will work around them? Do you need KYCs of the?
They're not. So they're not, right? So what you have is a community centered around a certain area of global regulation and a certain area of a certain topic of on-the-ground assets, like BGLD, right? Now that community comes together to create liquidity, right? And it becomes, this becomes a tool, right? Now, the actual rewards that come out of that are not generated by the projects. They're not generated their company. They're generated by the confidence, and this is the whole point. This is why I'm talking about a state stability. The value of the real world tokens is based on the confidence that people have, right, in the community that's bought into that NFT pool, and in the long-term vision, and in the message that's coming out from that. That is what the value of the reward tokens is based on, and the growth is based on, right?
Yeah, that's understandable. Moving on to the next question is how new regulations will impact selling of NFTs after minting starts.
What new regulations? So we are a fully regulated entity. Chrysalis is a fully regulated entity within the UAE, and all of its business operations have been right, like ratified, analysed, and given a green tick by the national organisations here in the UAE.
Definitely, and I think being
Yeah, we are regulated out of Masdar City for anyone who wants to know here in the UAE. So, and that's for fully building what we're doing, which is passing any asset over a network, such as an NFT, running and controlling an NFT marketplace, and that's the regulation that we sit under, guys, in the UAE.
And also, right, to go back to this, the issue of the reward space, right? This is why, to me, I'm really looking forward to getting this, right, the energy from the community in terms of analysis and excitement and direction, because that is going to be one of our major confidence building pillars moving forward. Sorry, Nishan, go on. I've been evangelizing this for like 6 weeks.
it's fine. I think it's long that we have done an AMA, so you have a lot of updates to give to the community.
That's true.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing this, guys, periodically. We're
There's another one
fully
set
aware
up for
that a
next
lot of
week.
you are anxious. Yeah, we're going to be doing this weekly if we can, certainly bi-weekly. It's going to be happening. It's going to be happening as much as we can, whether it's Chris, whether it's from me, just a small update. And we're also getting together a repository, because I feel there's a lot of things missed. For example, guys, getting an export license out of Ghana, for any of you that I do know some that have been in this industry, that is pretty monumental. We're the only company external ever in the history of Ghana to get that. Now, if you look at that in terms of a business goal or a timeline that we've managed to receive from the Ghanaian government, is a huge step forward. And as the liquidity starts coming out, as these projects start to create royalty flow, you're going to start seeing more liquidity in the secondary market. What I would point out as well, because for me, the tokenomics at play here are extremely important. The way in which this works, as you know, that the flow of it's essentially our own market making. That's what we're doing. That's why our tokenomics is exciting, because anyone that's sitting and holding for the length of those projects, do the math, guys. As royalty starts flowing in, the more people that buy, the more people that hold, the price goes one way. And I know we've had a bit of a dip. As we all know, this is what we're now going to start to begin to prop back up these projects with the Chrysalis platform, start getting out to the more community members. Holding this token creates what I'm saying is the liquidity comes pouring in. The more and more projects that start coming on and utilizing the Chrysalis platform, the more and more liquidity is going to be there to prop the token. So I hope that makes sense. For those that are really look into the tokenomics, you can see the upward curve that token will start to see.
Definitely, and the longer the people hold their tokens, I think the more benefits they will get. The questions about the MICA guidelines, regulations that people are asking if Chrysalis are following them, guys, they are regulated in UAE. They are working.
Say again, Nishant.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I lost you there.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the people who are asking questions about if Chrysalis is regulation, if they are guide, of course they are, because they are a registered entity in UAE. They are regulated in UAE. They are working with Promax United, so they have all the regulatory scrutiny of.
Yeah. This project has always been run transparently, right? So yes, and we are regulation wonks. It's part of what we do.
Yeah, and that's going to increase, guys. The more and more we start to build the technology stack and offer this out to projects that do want to do the same. We've been in so many discussions, for other projects that do want to use not just our token model, but also have a platform where they can launch their projects, on our platform. So it's exciting when we have the capability to do that. In terms of like specific dates, Chris, I know, and I hope everyone, appreciates just the level and amount of work and projects that are already on. This is a complex platform that we've spent a huge amount of time and energy building. We're trying to simplify that right now from a technical point of view. But in terms of a launch date, when you're talking tech and you give a specific date, there's so many variables. However, we are on track, guys, and this is an estimate. Don't quote this on me on the exact date. By the beginning of November, we are looking to have certainly an MVP ready to be completed and pushed out relatively shortly after that, where full migration will be able to occur. Everyone will be able to transition legacy NFTs and tokens into the new Chrysalis platform, and we'll start easing that out. So by, you're talking 3 to 4 weeks, we're looking at completion.
That's nice to hear. I think that was one of the questions by most of the community members. When do we launch? So, of course, guys, now we have a date for MVP, which would be the first week of November. And I'm pretty sure that I'll take more updates from Christopher from now on and to keep it pushing towards the community. Another question, guys, the V boxes, the Rev, Dev, Drip, and blocks, these NFTs and micros, are they of any use in Chrysalis now, or they just need to be worked with Lemon now?
Yeah. No, VBox we're not utilizing. However, anyone that has accumulated micros or NFTs and rewards, they'll be honored in the new system. But you will not need VBoxes in Chrysalis.
Okay, and the people who are holding that, the V boxes are of no use in Chrysalis as of now.
Correct.
And the NFTs of Rev, Bev, Drip, and blocks.
So we are only moving forward with certain projects. Updates on those will be moved forward and sent out to the community as we go. However, some of the old legacy projects will be nothing to do with us.
Okay, understood. Another question is about, do we have any roadmap for Earth Exchange, and when can people start using it?
Say again.
Do we have any update on the roadmap of Earth Exchange, and when people can restart staking and when using it?
Yeah, so people can stake already. What we're doing for the old iShang users, and also I'll mention some of you also won some of the competitions that we put out. All of those are in hand. What the update in terms of people who bought from iShang will be airdropping. So we literally tested that today, this afternoon. So the staking has actually been tested. It works. We're just building the airdrop functionality, so we're not going to ask anyone to convert anything. We will just airdrop you whatever you bought from iShang. Is in our database, is in our system. Those of you that won the competition, you also won some NFTs. You will receive an airdrop from the wallet that you used. You will be airdropped the new Earth Exchange tokens.
Yeah, and
you can start staking them immediately.
Yeah, in terms of when the staking happens, depending on exactly when you bought and what competition and what thing you were part of, the staking will take place automatically, and the dates just depend on exactly when you bought them, right? So you don't have to worry. Like, if God forbid something happens and a month goes past, that is not going to affect the actual date that the staking begins for your tokens. Do you understand? It isn't going to. They will be back staked to the correct date, right?
Yeah.
Got the answers. Another question that is pretty much related to the business. which project has seen the most growth in past 12 months?
I would say, guys, without question on that, that's twofold. One is obviously the license out of Ghana for the gold projects and obviously the oil and gas. But without question, it's certainly been Earth Exchange with, you know, some of the endorsements we've been getting and obviously the support here and the partnership that we made with Promax here in the UAE. So that was maybe a few, but those are the projects that I think have gained the most momentum. Certainly Earth Exchange has been a big focus for us over the last 4 to 5 months, and it's going on very strong indeed.
That's good to hear. People are also wanting to hear good news about Ghana Oil and NetG. If you have any information on that, that would be good to hear.
Yeah, so again, I think some of you that I think it was a few months ago, maybe almost just before 2 months ago, we did have a discussion with Chad, who can talk more about that as he's been running that project in Ghana with our partners. So what I suggest that we do, and this is part of what I wanted to say, what we'll do, guys, is we will look at each project, and I think what we'll probably end up doing over the next weeks, every time that we have a webinar, we're going to focus these on particular projects. So this has been, you know, more of an update from Chris on Chrysalis. So we'll be able to give and pay much more attention. But yes, there was a license given by the Ghanaian government to us and our partners, who are obviously putting those royalties, which are starting to begin. That was a monumental stride, and again, I mentioned it before. Anyone that's been in the commodities business will understand how difficult and how much time, effort has been put in to get that license, which is not only exploration, it's actually to export it as well. So that's a big move. I think what we should probably do for these projects, the 7 projects that are here, that need these updates, we can do literally, Nishant, and I think the community will like this, is that we focus on particular projects. We can discuss in much more detail, go in depth of what's happening on the ground, how that affects the tokens moving forward. I think we should probably organize that perhaps after this webinar, guys. You know, you can let Nishant know in our community channels. Maybe we can run a poll. We'll just knock these out on a weekly basis. We certainly would need Chad and Roy probably on these webinars to discuss some of the groundwork, just because they've been out there on the ground working on these. We've sort of been more on here in the UAE focusing on the tech. So I think we should probably have some focused webinars on the projects as we move forward.
I'll run polls among the community for these questions on what kind of things they want to hear about more in our upcoming webinar, which we plan to have in the next week.
Great.
So yeah, so I asked Nishant to set up a webinar, like I asked him, right? And there's because I know there's so much that's come out of this, right? I just want people to be able to be like, okay, if you have any questions, right, or any points or anything that's sprung to mind in this hour and 15 minutes of us just talking at you, because there's so much to discuss, please just write them down, get them to Nishant, send them, and we will have another webinar in a week specifically to address, specifically to just make this one a bit more interactive with everybody, right? Because I know the gap's been big, and I really want to start getting a sense of right, of comfort, and like, okay, these people are here, right? Please. So please just do that. Anything you want, we'll review it all, and we'll go through it all again. Okay?
Sure thing. Another question, I guess it would be for you, Christopher, is are we developing the smart contracts on Binance?
It's a reasonable question. So for Chrysalis, the smart contract team we have, it doesn't, technically speaking, It doesn't really matter to us. I think almost certainly we will deploy Chrysalis onto Binance so that everyone's natural sense of how they've been interacting with the ecosystem stays as similar as possible. So almost certainly on Binance, yes.
Got it. Another question is regarding the liquidity that we pulled out of the system. So I believe we will be putting those kind of liquidities back into the Chrysalis system once we are live and trading.
So this is right. So the liquidity is all there. Exactly how we reintroduce it will be dependent exactly what I've said on how we move forward as a community to get the volume of interactions up to a level where we can build stability. So we'll be very open. We'll explain exactly what we're doing. But that will be the goal. Yes, and all the liquidity is still there, sitting in that wallet. You can see it. It's not going anywhere.
Definitely. There's another question about the winners of the Zeely contests. What will happen to them?
You have to ask Alexander. I don't know anything about that. But Alexander mentioned them before. So so just to be very clear, I think this is an EEX question, right? So to be very clear, all of the new contracts are up, they're on the test net, they're being tested. What is happening is all of the NFTs that currently exist from iShang, from the competitions, from our pre-sales that we've done with our sales partners, all of these will be airdropped into the new contracts and they will be staked for you, right? And they will be backstaked to the correct date, right? So you don't have to do anything at all. When that goes live, the rewards will have started being generated from the correct date, right? They will be backstaked to the correct date. So that is what is happening with them.
That's good to hear. Another question is, do we have any timeline for when we launch L1? For you, Chris.
I'm going to answer that with a straight no.
Okay. Understandable. Also,
Soon
I
enough.
think the previous tokenomics was deflationary, so are we planning still a deflationary tokenomics?
The tokenomics are fundamentally very, very well designed. I've gone through them over and over again. I've been doing economic structure design for about 5 years. As my primary business for 3 years was tokenomic structure design throughout many ecosystems all over the world: UK, Scandinavia, USA, South America, Latin America, Portuguese America, Kenya, right? So I did that for 5 years. So the design of the tokenomic structure of Chrysalis is excellent. It's very well thought out. It provides very, very directly and very skillfully a space for confidence, for energy in a set of projects to be translated into a stable growth of value, right? And it's very cleverly worked out. So that whole mechanism will stay the same. It's very good.
That's nice. I think the last question is about the new partners of Chrysalis. I think that question goes to me. I'll explain. So basically, guys, Coromate is working as a media and marketing partner for Chrysalis. We've been in the blockchain crypto space for about 10 years now. We have worked with over 700 clients. We are working from US, UAE, India, UK, Ireland, and South Africa. We have been in this space for quite some time. We have seen like three bull markets. So we are pretty much connected to all the crypto people, all the blockchain people. So yeah, definitely we will definitely be a really good marketing partner for Chrysalis. And yeah, we will be onboarding more and more partners who are experts in their field as we need. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So one of the things that Nishant has brought on is we're going to be running our own events again. So something that we're looking to do together is to bring is right. You see how this whole thing fits together. So you've got the sense of confidence and industry awareness, right? That is driving an entire industry sector. So that confidence and that understanding, right, and the goal, we're going to be directly pulling with Nishant's help specifically. So they're bringing people to us from various different aspects. Some of them are technical experts, some of them are experts in specific target industries, right? And we will be discussing with them, doing analysis, right? We're not going to have a 24/7 news channel, but what we are going to be doing is aggregating and having very, very interesting, empowering our communities and giving our communities space to empower us, right, to be a beacon of energy in the space, in the democratization of these spaces, in ensuring that countries, right, which is partly why we're doing so well where we go, ensuring that countries are getting significant amounts of the value of the raw commodities in their country, right? That whole movement. Yeah. So it's been wonderful for me working to have Nishant, who deeply understands what we're doing, like suggest be like, right, we're going to organize. Like, okay. So we've been buried in tech, but all that stuff it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be on some webinars with my face, and we'll get some. We'll try and get some people from the community into the conversation as well.
Definitely. Like, this is our first webinar, but from now onwards, we'll have it like maybe every week or whenever we can, so we can give more updates to the community. I've been personally working with community on Telegram, on Discord, so I know they have a lot of questions, and this AMA has really helped to answer a lot of questions, a lot of queries by the community, by the users who are actually, working with Chrysalis for a long time now. So I'm pretty sure they're a lot happier after this AMA. So, any closing notes, Christopher, before I sum it up?
I mean, from a technical perspective, right, what I do is build deep. I've been coding. I got an artificial intelligence degree in 2004. Right, I've been in business working. My first company that I started in 1995 was working directly with the European Union and the European Bank of the EBRD, the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, and with EU Directorate 13, right, the Directorate for Regional Cohesion, on the loan and grants incentive structures that were used to bootstrap, right, the European Union into being the biggest trading bloc in the world. So that's the first business. We sold the format that was created through 7 years of, right, so this we were doing that when the EU was much smaller, and we worked with the EU Central Library, with the major banks, with KPMG through over 7 years as the two layers of accession countries, the first and second layer accession nations. So first layer is like Poland, second layer would be like Romania, right? Restructured their banking systems and were bootstrapped through massive investment, so that the EU as a whole, after the sort of the early nations were investing significant amounts of money into, right, to boost. So that right now, in working with major institutions for 30 years, developing information-centric products and software products to serve decision makers in major institutions is the skill set that I've, as I said, we negotiated for 2 months before I came here. Right, I'm still working in El Salvador with local and national government on transparency stuff. So what we have here, what I have built here, is a deep technical platform. I have brought that set of skills and my already existing tools. I said 2-3 years. I've been doing 3 years. I've been doing like NFTs, but as Alexander said, like NFTs, but like formal protocol centric NFTs, chain of custody. Actually, I did that with China 5-6 years ago. So chain of custody, supply chain tracking. With EEX, you're talking about ownership certificates which are jurisdictionally valid, right? To be used as carbon offset in global carbon accounting by governments, right? So all that kind of stuff. So what I've brought here is my tool set and my experience and built a deep technical infrastructure. Right, so what we have is tools now we have tools which allow us to be flexible, which allow us to respond to the needs of the markets, to the needs of institutions, the needs of regulation, the needs of and desires of the communities that we support, right, in a very clear, managed, auditable. Everything we now do is fully auditable all the way down the tech stack, right? So not just is our business model auditable, our entire tech stack of like who deployed what contract when, literally, that is now auditable, right? And that's what I've brought here. So you get right. So that, I guess that's my closing comment. So that's what I've been doing, right? And it's gonna be good. I'm really looking forward to be able to pull my head up over the brick wall a little bit, and speak a bit more with people and get a bit more interactive. At the moment, I am working 14 to 18 hours a day. My body hurts. We're nearly there, people.
Yes, cool. Okay, guys, I would like to sum up this AMA now. So closing points would be from this AMA is we have received a letter of recommendation from UN, which some people would say is badass as James. Christopher is currently working on smart contracts and he will have an update for us by the end of month. I think I will take more updates from him on a regular basis. New Chrysalis system is using not just NFTs but digital and ownership tokens, which are called dots. The system would be more complex, but it would be more transparent and traceable. For people asking about where will be traded, we are talking to Gate Exchange, and we will be talking to more exchanges in the coming days. Of course, the layer 1 blockchain would be truly decentralized. We can have mobile phones as validators. So as more validators we grow with each mobile phone, we become more decentralized. We are planning an MVP by the start of November, but more details on that we'll be sharing soon. Regarding people who are asking how to transition to Chrysalis, all your assets which needs to be swapped onto the Chrysalis system, which we will be airdropping you to your wallets. So basically you don't need to do anything, you can just relax. Of course, we will be sharing the recording of this AMA after it ends, and people who are worrying about how it will be developed or when it will be developed, talking to Christopher, I think he is one of the most prominent and experienced developer. So I'm pretty sure we will get a robust system soon. Okay, guys, let's end this AMA here. We will have more AMAs in the coming days, and yeah, we will be sharing the recording of this AMA. So if you want to listen